everybody, I'm Lexcana from Luxury Gaming, and I'm here with...
Gnarly day.
Ooh, okay. And how do we do today?
Today we're 1-1-1, so we're doing all right. But yesterday we did 4-2-2 before I dropped.
Okay. So. And what deck did we play?
I played red, yellow, kind of like mid-range annoying creatures.
Ooh, yeah. Kind of different. Yeah. Let's see it.
So the first card we brought was obviously Daisy Duck. Extremely powerful, really annoying to deal with. A lot of decks struggle to deal with it early. Get you on the board, and there's a card we're playing in the deck later that kind of benefits from giving your opponent's cards. So I was like, this is a perfect fit as a 1-drop.
Now she's at least going to quest for like 2 to 6 potentially.
Yeah, a lot of times she quests for a lot, and then it forces your opponent to also like they really want to make sure that they can deal with it. So that's a really one. We have 3 copies of the Queen. This is just basically I wanted the Queen shift line in, but I didn't want a ton of them, and I just wanted more 1-drops that could be buffed by Lumiere, which is also in the deck. So yeah, so that's really all that's for. And 4 copies of Mulan. Big thing there is that it damages itself, so it combos really well with Rapunzel. And I'm also playing Shift Mulan, so you have that combo in there as well.
Okay.
But again, the main thing is I wanted at least like 11 or 12 1-drops because I'm playing Lumiere and I'm also playing Flynn Rider. So I wanted to basically make sure that I could put a lot of pressure on my opponent and put them in a situation where they're trying to deal with multiple annoying creatures that have multiple annoying lines. So you have Mulan, Daisy, and Queen all having shift lines or just being hyper aggressive. And you have Flynn that can benefit off of any of that stuff.
And now, what line are you trying to go for? Are you trying to go for the Queen line, or are you trying to go for the Mulan line?
Well, that's the beauty of this deck is that, like, what I was trying to do is basically this allows me to mulligan for whatever's good in the matchup. So game 1, I'm generally trying to go for, like, Daisy, Flynn, and Sisu. But once I see what the matchup is, then game 2 I can go, if the Queen is really good in this matchup, I can go for that line. If the Flynn line is really good, or if the Mulan line is really good, then I can go for that line. So it allows me to mulligan a little bit more aggressively.
Are you trying to go first then?
Yes, I go first. I would always go first because I want to see I want to basically apply the pressure first, and then game 2 sculpt my mulligan from that point on.
Got it.
So then obviously the other big thing that I wanted to do here was play Lumiere to buff Flynn, get him out of brawl range, buff Mulan and the Queen, get them out of brawl range, and just make it really complicated for like the red removal spells to deal with anything. So that was kind of the main...
I'm a big fan of the Lumiere card.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I think it's underrated.
Yeah, unfortunately it's not very good against green steel. So a lot of the time, that's another part of the mulligan package is if I know I'm playing against green steel, we ship Flynn, we ship Lumiere. They're not very good there. We just get rid of them or we ink them.
Yeah.
The other 2-drop that we have in there is Piglet. So this is kind of like if the Flynn starts to turn off, they like play a Tala or they play a Fox or something like that. We just go wide and then we just start questing with Piglet. So that's kind of the thing there. And we wanted to basically make it to where I can force them to turn their card sideways so that I can hit them with, Vanellope, Mulan, anything like that. This is a card that they're going to want to turn cards sideways to deal with.
Okay.
And then we have 4 copies of Bare Necessities because it's just a necessity. Blue-red is a really good deck. Green Steel is a really good deck. You got to make sure you can answer B prep. Mainly is the main.
I'm surprised you're playing 4. I've seen a lot of decks with like just 2.
Well, it's inkable, and I just really want to make sure that if I need to spike a B prep, I can spike a B prep. That's really the only reason is like I want to make sure that I have it. So that was the reason I did it. Maybe it's too many, but I didn't want to not have it when I needed it. So that was the idea.
Would you think about cutting it down, or you like it where it's at right now?
I just think there's so many like problematic cards. Like sometimes you can just like turn 2. Like if you're on the play, you can go turn 2, play a 2-drop, turn 3, sing this, spike a Fishbone Quill, and just ruin Blue Red's day. So it's and then like Green Steel has a bunch of problematic cards for us. So I think it's going to always have value in a lot of matchups, so I'm fine with it. If it was uninkable, maybe I would cut it, but it seems fine for now. Okay. I haven't really noticed it. This is a card that I've gone back and forth on, though. I'm playing 3 copies of Brawl, mainly as a concession to Diablo and Ursula 3. Ursula 3 is like a very bad card for this deck. I was at 4, and I just felt like I was drawing it entirely too much, so I went down to 3, but I still feel like I'm drawing it entirely too much, so I could go down to 2 with this one. I don't know. We'll see. But it's kind of like one of those cards you don't really want to play, but you kind of feel like you have to.
I feel that.
Yeah. And then, so this is the other, so now we're in the 3-drop section. 4 copies of this Mulan. This one was actually surprisingly powerful.
Okay.
The support was just very relevant. Sometimes you just like support on a Daisy and kill something that they're not ready for. Support onto Han Sisu to like blow up a location. Support onto Flynn just to like, okay.
because we're giving her attack to Daisy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the support just comes up a lot. Opponents are not really ready for it. They're not really paying attention to it. But more importantly, it's Mulan, so I have 8 copies for the shift line. And it's really hard for your opponent to play around that once you have like 1-drop Mulan and 3-drop Mulan on the board. They can't really play around it. Like, what are they just not going to turn their card sideways? So, I don't know. It ended up being really powerful. It quests for 2, so it just applies a lot of pressure.
How many times were you able to use the shift Mulan?
Every game.
Every game you shifted Mulan?
Every game that I drew Mulan, I shifted Mulan. Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
You just have so many copies of it that they just sit. They're not killing this card ever, right? They're going to kill your other problematic cards first, and this card's going to always just sit around. So.
Would you not quest with it so that it didn't die?
Sometimes, yeah. Like every once in a while you would, and then you're kind of like showing your hand at that point. But like again, what are they going to do, right? Like if I'm questing with daisies and stuff like that, they kind of have to kill these. And if they don't have removal and they have to just challenge it, you're just going to lock them up. So this is the card that I think that makes the deck actually kind of work. This card is annoying for every single deck in the format to deal with.
Yeah.
Absurdly overstatted, and works really well with Daisy, right? Putting cards in their hand is actually great because now my Sisu is bigger than your Sisu. My Flynn is triggering, and it's just a problematic card. It's just ridiculous how good this card is. And then we have 2 copies of this guy. This is just like really good stats on rate. At the time when I was first started building the deck, I was playing Grand Duke, and she's a princess, so it like had some synergies there. This card's just super annoying. Like Green Steel really struggles with this card. It's a stressful card for most people to deal with, and it just applies a lot of pressure. So, and it works well with Rapunzel because it holds a lot of damage. So that's always nice. But I'm still back and forth on this. 2 felt fine. I was at 3 at one point, but
it's also an inkable, so
it's very tricky. Like when you have both of these cards in your hand, you struggle sometimes. Like which one am I supposed to play first? This one's inkable. This one's not. This is a card that I actually almost didn't play because a bunch of people told me that it was not a good card, and I got talked into it. And I bought some literally the morning of, like 8 a.m. I bought 4 copies of this, and I ended up deciding to play 3. I forgot when I was building the deck, when I was like trimming it down, this is how you beat red purple. Red purple. A lot of times you get into these like stalemates where like you're staring at them, they're staring at you. They have a lot of efficient ways to answer your stuff. Their stuff is beating your Flynn, so you're both just like standing there, and they want to start doing their like dirtily rabbit bounce shenanigans. So I just go, okay, I'll just play this and draw an extra card every turn, and you have to Medusa this or play Elsa 5. And so it's like outside of those 2 answers, like I'm at least going to get a couple cards off it before you deal with it. And again, it forces you with Elsa 5 to turn your card sideways, or it forces you to use a premium removal spell on a card that's not that great. So I ended up putting 3 copies in. I loved having it every single time I drew it. It felt really good. This is a card I think that is like criminally slept on. This card is extremely strong.
Rush.
Yeah. This card just murders Diablo and then sits there and they can't kill it, and then you untap and you Rapunzel. And it feels amazing every time it happens. It puts a lot of pressure on your opponent's locations. Like they go turn 4, they'll play like a Queen's Castle to try to get greedy because they're like, oh, it's not Maui turn yet. I can get a little bit of value off of it. And you just play that and you just kill it, and they're just not ready for it. So
this would technically answer the Diablo in the Hidden Cove.
Yes, answers the Diablo in the Cove too. Or you can get really sneaky and you can like just kill the Cove, right? Like sometimes you can do that and then just brawl it, which I've done a couple times before too. It's just all around just a very, very strong card. It also answers Elsa 5 once she's punished you, because usually she's killing a 2/2, and and then you just kill it for 3. It still survives, and you can still heal it with Rapunzel.
Okay.
Yeah. We also
see it.
4 copies of this guy. I just love this card. It's my favorite card since set 1. I don't have to explain how good this card is. This card's insane. A little worse now that Sisu exists, little Sisu, but still extremely strong. They still have to respect it. It's the reason the deck even functions at all. It's your only draw engine. This is a contentious spot that I was in for a while. So I played 2 copies of this guy. This slot was the 4-drop Hades at one point from set 1, that one that lets you buy back a card from your graveyard. But what I found a lot of the time with that card was I was just buying back a 1-drop because there was really nothing valuable in my graveyard. And what I really wanted to do was dig for Mulan. So I could go like 1-drop Mulan, Flynn, 3-drop Mulan, play this, find the shift Mulan. Now what are you doing? Or I could find Rapunzel. It's just like I'm trying to put together a lot of different synergies, and that card just helps you dig and find a synergy. Holds Rapunzel damage really well, works really well with Lumiere. I don't know. It was okay. It's not like the greatest card in the world, but I just needed something that gave me a little bit more draw power. In Ruby Amber, you don't have a lot of options.
It's almost like on the Ariel, where they're looking for songs, you're just looking for characters.
And my whole deck is characters. There's 7 cards that are not characters, so you're going to get a lot of options, and you're going to get to find what you're looking for. Again, I don't know if I would run it back again. It's okay. It was not terrible, but not great. But it's not much you can expect out of this slot. Obviously, as aforementioned, 3 copies of this guy. It's not always the best. Obviously, I'm not singing songs, so I don't get a lot of the value off of the shift. But sometimes you can just do this surprise thing where you just have a queen on board. You're doing a bunch of other stuff. They're trying to deal with stuff, and then you play that, and you get like a nice little trade in there. And then it just quests for 2. And it also helps you with Flynn on turn 3. You can just like play Mulan, play Flynn. Or I'm sorry, have turn 2 Flynn, turn 3 shift this, play Mulan, and now you just have like a really hard thing for them to contest if they're trying to like play a Tala or something. So it was okay. I mean, again, you don't have a ton of options in these colors, so I'm just trying to play the most powerful cards, and sometimes this card just straight wins you the game with a really powerful trade. 2 copies of this guy. Now he's just a great card. Even in this deck, he's just, obviously he doesn't quest, but he's a really strong card, answers locations, and again, pairs well with Flynn. I was trying not playing any of them because I'm playing Vanellope, but this card is just so good. You can't not play it. You know what I mean? It's just a ridiculous card.
I'm surprised you're only playing 2 because it's such a good card.
Well, we have Shift Mulan, we have Vanellope, we have Hansi, so we have like a lot of ways to pressure things. So it wasn't as relevant as it is in other decks, but yeah, I mean, it's a really good card. I was playing 4 at one point, and I just kept trimming down. We have 3 copies of this guy. I was playing 4 at one point, but there are some times where you just like don't want to play this card, or it's like really dead if they keep killing your Mulans. So I didn't want to overextend with it. And it's really bad if you're hard casting it unless you're playing against like explicitly green steel. Mm-hmm. But green steel, that's one of the things I did like about this, is that one of the ways I realized I could beat green steel is just turn 6, you just play this card, and they're just like, I can't ever turn anything sideways because you're going to blow up my Mulan or my Diablo. You'll blow up like Prince John, not Prince John, but you'll blow up a lot of different things, and it's just like it's a really problematic card for them to deal with once it's on the board, unless they have Bruno. And then I just have 1 copy of this guy because it just goes well in any like big character deck. I won 2 games off of this guy. It was just
you won 2 games off of that guy.
They just B prep, and you're like, cool. Here's a Chernobog and a Mulan, and they just like stared at them. They're like, okay, I'll play this Tremaine that doesn't do anything now, and I'm like, yeah. And I quested for like 12 with this card. It's just when it works, it's really great, and when it doesn't, it's like, all right, whatever. Also, another really cool thing to find off of Tinkerbell too. It's like sometimes you just dig and you find it, and you're like, oh, there you go. Here's a free 9/9. So
I've been trying to play this card in my deck for weeks.
It's a fun card. Obviously, sometimes you draw it on turn 2, and you're like, I wish this was any other card, but I don't know. It's still okay.
Do you have any shout-outs you want to give?
Shout out to Color is Lost, my girlfriend. And yeah, that's about it.
Okay, thank you guys for watching.